Monday a bipartisan bill in the Senate to continue to support this important Kentucky industry. It'll be the Hemp Farm Act of 2018. What will it do? First and foremost, this bill will finally legalize hemp as an agricultural commodity and remove it from the list of controlled substances. So by recognizing in federal statute the difference between hemp and its illicit cousin, we can allow this industry to continue to flourish here in Kentucky. You may remember the issues we've had with some federal agencies over the implementation of what Congress passed in the Farm Bill. I know some challenges remain today between the federal government and farmers and producers in Kentucky, but the goal of this new bill, should it become law, is to simply remove the roadblocks altogether. It would encourage innovation and development and support the domestic production of hemp. My bill will allow the states to be the primary regulators of hemp if they can develop a plan to properly monitor production. And with a strong supporter like Commissioner Quarles overseeing the production and sale of hemp, I'm confident Kentucky hemp will flourish under this new regulatory mechanism. My bill would also give hemp researchers the chance to apply for competitive federal grants from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. With these three features, legislation, state oversight, and federal grants, Kentucky can enhance its standing as a national hub for hemp farming, processing, and product manufacturing. Other members of our federal delegation obviously share my views. Senator Paul and Congressman Comer will also be working on this. We'll continue to work with hemp advocates in the states, other states, including many of those I had the privilege. Well, actually, this meeting this morning was, as I indicated earlier, really pretty inspirational. A lot of enthusiasm in the room for the potential for this industrial hemp and Kentucky's future in this area. So I'm going to continue to support Kentucky's hemp farmers and manufacturers in the Senate. I believe hemp has a bright future in our state. It's fine. It's now time to take the final step and make this a legal crop for every state that wants to file a plan with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And if they file that plan with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the regulatory mechanism comes from the federal government down to the state. So the way that would work here is that Commissioner Quarles and his team would have the regulatory oversight of this way forward, and the federal government would simply step aside. For any state that did not file a plan, the federal government would still be preeminent. But for those who are in the processing field, it would legalize the interstate transportation of hemp through a state that might not have taken the step of filing with USDA and therefore having the regulatory authority come down to the state. So that's the goal. We're continuing to work on the legislation. Many of the people involved in the room now have been working closely with my staff as we develop this legislation. We're going to give it everything we've got to pull it off in this year's Farm Bill. Thank you so much for being here.
We do have time for a couple short questions if you'd like to ask one. Lawrence?
Do you think that hemp can equal or even surpass what tobacco once was for Kentucky?
Question for you.
We hope that industrial hemp provides another alternative crop for our growers, another arrow in the quiver for the vast diversity that already exists in Kentucky agriculture. I grew up on a Kentucky tobacco farm. I paid for my college. There's countless other Kentuckians who have a background like that. We hope to position Kentucky to maximize the benefit of this crop once legalized, and so the economic activity stays right here. Whether it will rival tobacco, that's yet to be seen, but one thing I know for certain is that due to the farmer-led research here in Kentucky, we are the best positioned state in the nation to capture the economic impact of industrial hemp if and when it becomes commercialized. Right.
I just want to recognize the senator. I'm an 8th generation tobacco farmer from central Kentucky, very dependent on tobacco, and with your help, not only in the tobacco buyout in 2004, allowed me 10 years of transition from tobacco into hemp in 2014. The timing was perfect, by the way, Senator. I had 10 years of buyout to get me into hemp, but your leadership in the Farm Bill has allowed us to make a huge investment in hemp, and now I'm dependent on hemp and not tobacco. So with this legislation, it just opens up the entire world to what we've done here in Kentucky, and I just want to commend you for that.
You kind of touched upon this, but not everyone completely understands hemp. The perception, like you said, sometimes goes to marijuana. Do you think you're going to have any issues, or how hard do you think it is going to be to get other legislators to get on board with this?
It was better than it used to be. In 2014, in getting the pilot project option in the Farm Bill, there was a lot of discussion about what is this? Is this the same as the illicit cousin? I think we've moved past that. I think most members of the Senate now understand it's two very different plants. There may be some continued discussion of that, but I think most everybody over the last course of the current Farm Bill now understands this is a totally different plant. And I don't think it will be brought up as much as it was in 2014 when we were trying to get the pilot programs in. Obviously, I'll be discussing with the Attorney General of the United States the issue as well, and making sure he also understands that. We had law enforcement people at our roundtable that we just finished. Are they still here? We had several law enforcement people here. I think I can safely say that Kentucky law enforcement is comfortable with where we are. I gather every Kentucky farmer would file with you, right?
Correct.
So let's say you're the local sheriff in Christian County. You know where the farmers who are growing industrial hemp are. They've filed with the Commissioner of Agriculture. So if they want to make a periodic stop, they can. Or if they see it being grown somewhere and there's no plan, then you got a problem. So I think Kentucky law enforcement, as a result of the great work that Commissioner Quarles has done, is comfortable with where we are. In 2014, I think there was still some queasiness about that. So I think we've worked our way through the education process of making sure everybody understands this is really a different plant. And so I don't anticipate that being as big a problem as it was in 2014.
We have time for one more question.
Leader McConnell, at a time when some even in your own party have questioned the spending in the omnibus bill, and they've wondered whether more subsidies are needed and whether the spending is really worth it. Why is the spending on this program and on grants in this program worth it when some in your own party are starting to question government spending?
Well, the omnibus bill included people from the administration involved in the negotiation with Senator Schumer, Leader Pelosi, Speaker Ryan, and myself. Our top priority was to get defense spending at a sufficient level to rebuild the military and protect the country. It was a bipartisan agreement. So you can't do a bipartisan agreement that doesn't have some things that the Democrats wanted. It's a classic bipartisan agreement. I think it met the needs, the principal needs of this administration and this Republican Congress. I didn't have any trouble voting for it, and the President signed it.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Leader, for being here today.